Exercise can be beneficial to your health if you have a chronic disease like heart disease, diabetes, asthma, or back or joint discomfort. However, before beginning an exercise routine, you should consult your doctor. He or she may be able to advise you on which workouts are safe to do and what precautions you should take while exercising.
A supercomputer simulation by an international team of researchers has shown the formation of a rapidly growing star from supersonic gas streams in the early universe left over from the Big Bang. The star ends its life with catastrophic collapse to leave a black hole with a mass of 34,000 times that of the Sun.
A multinational team of researchers used a supercomputer simulation to depict the creation of a fast-developing star from supersonic gas streams left over from the Big Bang in the early cosmos. The star's life comes to an end when it collapses catastrophically, leaving behind a black hole with a mass 34,000 times that of the Sun.
One of the most significant qualities of literature is that it feeds our emotional existence. An effective literary work may appear to speak directly to us, particularly if we are in the right frame of mind for it. The inner lives that good writers disclose in their characters frequently provide us with glimpses of ourselves. By turning the page instead of turning our lives upside down, we can be moved to laugh, cry, tremble, dream, wonder, shout, or anger with a character.
The virtues and disadvantages of globalization are still being debated. The increased danger of disease transmission is one of the drawbacks of globalization. Globalization has, of course, resulted in a lot of good. Richer countries can now help poorer countries in distress. Many countries' growing diversity has resulted in more opportunities to learn about and enjoy various cultures.
Organs are made up of tissues that are clustered together in the body. The brain, heart, lungs, kidneys, and liver are among them. Each organ in the body has a distinct shape and is made up of many types of tissue that operate together. The heart, for example, is mostly made up of a particular form of muscle tissue that contracts in a rhythmic pattern to supply the heart's pumping motion.
Newspapers across the world are reporting stories of presidents. Newspapers across the world are reporting stories of presidents.
The minimum mark for distinction is 75%. The minimum mark for distinction is 75%.
The department determines whether or not the candidates pass. The department determines whether or not the candidates pass.
Next time, we'll discuss the influence of the media on public policy. Next time, we'll discuss the influence of the media on public policy.
Everyone should get access to art galleries no matter where they live. Everyone should get access to art galleries no matter where they live.
The number of company bankruptcies skyrocketed in the third quarter. The number of company bankruptcies skyrocketed in the third quarter.
Don't forget to hand in your assignments by the end of next week. Don't forget to hand in your assignments by the end of next week.
Remember to bring calculators to class next week. Remember to bring calculators to class next week.
This small Indian state is a land of forests, valleys, and snowy islands. This small Indian state is a land of forests, valleys, and snowy islands.
Most of the assignments should be submitted on the same day. Most of the assignments should be submitted on the same day.
As a student union member, we can influence the change of the university. As a student union member, we can influence the change of the university.
The graph below shows the percentage of respondents who travel by different modes of transportation. Train travel, car travel, and travel by both vehicles are among the options. According to this graph, the proportion of people who travel by train is around 60%, while the proportion who go by automobile is around 30%. This graph shows that train travel is the most popular mode of transportation, accounting for about 60% of all trips. This graph also shows that travel by both vehicles accounts for the smallest percentage, around 10%. Finally, rail travel had the largest percentage of respondents.
The graph below depicts the likelihood of developing depression. As can be seen, the chance of depression has increased considerably from 0.002 to 0.02, and those in their middle years have the largest risk of depression. Following that, as people become older, their depression rate drops to around 0.007, and by the time they're 70, it's down to roughly 0.006. Finally, as young people get older, they are more susceptible to develop depression, particularly in their middle years.
Males and females are divided into males and females in various countries, including China, India, and Russia. With 56% of male pupils and 69% of female students speaking a foreign language, India has the largest percentage of students skilled in a foreign language. China, on the other hand, has the lowest percentages of female and male students who are fluent in a foreign language, with 33% and 15%, respectively. In Thailand, 30% of male students and 27% of female students are competent in a foreign language, respectively. Finally, this graph has valuable information.
The association between arousal level and performance quality is depicted in the following graph. The red line designates the simple jobs, and the blue line indicates the challenging tasks. It is obvious that boredom or indifference will set in when arousal and performance quality are low to begin with. Then, harder tasks arrive at the peak or optimal level before simpler ones. The two lines then descend to a level known as high anxiety. This graph is really informative. To sum it up,
We appreciate the chance to discuss Australia's economic relations with Asia and, in particular, to briefly discuss the role that trade plays in this region. And I'm especially happy to be talking about trade and investment because Australia reports to Australia's first ever Minister for Trade and Investment, in addition to the obvious fact that these two topics are intricately interwoven. Australia's economy is becoming more and more dependent on Asia. It is one of the most crucial elements to take into account. Asian export demand has helped Australia manage the global financial crisis better than most other developed nations, according to international criteria for national development. In fact, it is most likely superior to all other advanced economies. In 2013, an investment from Asia increased the economy's capacity for production and overall productivity. Asia accounted for 7 of our top 10 export destinations and 65% of all of our exports. For our trade relationships and our ability to access key global supply chains, as well as for the amount of foreign investment in Australia, Asian markets and Australia's proximity are crucial. Over the previous 10 years, FDI has significantly increased in Australia. In reality, it has increased by more than twofold, from roughly $292 billion to $630 billion in 2013.
A leader can set or clarify goals by releasing a memo, executive order, edict, fatwa, or tweet, or by enacting legislation, barking orders, or putting out a compelling proposal at a meeting of peers. From calm, subtle persuasion to coercive intimidation or the use of lethal force, leaders can enlist the support of their followers. A charismatic leader, like Martin Luther King Jr., can sometimes set objectives and inspire people by setting an example and using rhetoric. When it comes to the leader's visibility and power, we can think of leadership as a spectrum. On one end of the range, we have the most recognizable figures, strongmen with authority like the US President or the UK Prime Minister, or a despot like Hitler or Gaddafi. The leadership that can significantly change the lives of those it touches is casual, low-key leadership, which can be found on the other end of the spectrum in countless situations every day around the world. First-class, authoritative leadership has typically been demonstrated by men throughout history. Some men in positions of tremendous authority, such as Nelson Mandela, have opted for a policy of leading from behind, but most commonly, powerful men have exercised their positions in a highly visible manner. Women have offered informal, understated leadership in the background, along with some males. But as more women have seized opportunities for public, powerful leadership, this tendency has been shifting.
What do we call famous people? What do we call famous people?
What do we use to launch a space shuttle? What do we use to launch a space shuttle?
What is the national flower of India? What is the national flower of India?
What is the habitat of camels? What is the habitat of camels?
Where can people go to borrow books? Where can people go to borrow books? Research has shown that in certain situations silent meetings actually work better. Specifically, if the goal of a meeting is to brainstorm or solve a problem, silent meetings have been shown to generate better ideas. But why? Solutions to a problem will often be a novel idea, and novel ideas challenge convention. They can rock the boat and make people feel uncomfortable. But when participants gather around a table and generate written solutions in silence, a safe space is created. Novel ideas can emerge and people are less afraid of feeling embarrassed. Silent meetings also circumvent negative effects of something called production blocking. In a conventional meeting, only one person at a time can speak. As you wait your turn, the conversation may shift and you may lose your opportunity to raise an idea. Silent meetings allow for everyone to express ideas simultaneously. So how do you create a silent brainstorming meeting? Have people write down their ideas independently, then sort them into clusters, discuss, and vote on the ideas that people like. The key is to let the initial ideation phase happen independently and in silence so we can separate egos from ideas. Silence is just one alternative. Since meetings have different goals, there's no reason they all have to look or sound the same.
Here you're making an apology. There are 3 questions that you want to be able to answer. The first is, do we tell the truth? People want the company to tell the truth for 2 reasons. One is it gives them confidence that they know what went wrong. And so that means that they will presumably know what to fix. The other is that they want the company to be a truth-telling company so it can uncover the truth. The second is, on whose behalf are we acting? Is it clear that people understand that we understand that? And the third is, how do our actions benefit those people who trust us? So what is it that we're going to do in the future that's actually going to make people believe that we're going to fix the problem we created? And this is where all those facts matter, because if you've laid that out pretty clearly, then there is in fact a path to describe what it is that you're going to do. And so that action planning part is part of the apology, too, because that gives you confidence that the company actually knows how to get from the current state to the future state, where this kind of thing is not going to happen.
Certainly in Europe and the West we tend to think of bread as the staple food in our diet, as many proverbs and sayings, such as, bread is the staff of life, attest. Yet for the majority of the world's population the most important staple food is not wheat but rice, which is the seed of a different type of grass. The earliest evidence we have of rice being cultivated dates back to 8,000 years ago, when rice grains of that period were discovered in a village in China. By around 6,000 years ago, the cultivation of both long-grain and short-grain rice had become well established in China, and had just got going in India. The word rice itself, however, is derived from the Aramaic aruza and came to us by way of Greek and Arabic. In fact, it was the Arabs who introduced rice to their Spanish territories in the 7th century, but it didn't spread to the rest of Europe until much later when, in the 15th century, Spaniards began to cultivate their own short-grain variety at Pisa, in Italy.
The opposite of an opportunist is a competitor. These organisms tend to have big bodies, are long-lived, and spend relatively little effort each year on reproduction. An oak tree is a good example of a competitor. A massive oak claims its ground for 200 years or more, outcompeting all other would-be canopy trees by casting a dense shade and drawing up any free water in the soil. The leaves of an oak tree taste foul because they are rich in tannins, a chemical that renders them distasteful or indigestible to many organisms. The tannins are part of the defense mechanism that is essential to longevity. Although oaks produce thousands of acorns, the investment in a crop of acorns is small compared with the energy spent on building leaves, trunk, and roots. Once an oak tree becomes established, it is likely to survive minor cycles of drought and even fire. A population of oaks is likely to be relatively stable through time, and its survival is likely to depend more on its ability to withstand the pressures of competition or predation than on its ability to take advantage of chance events. It should be noted, however, that the pure opportunist or pure competitor is rare in nature, as most species fall between the extremes of a continuum, exhibiting a blend of some opportunistic and some competitive characteristics.
Why do we need more entrepreneurs right now? The entrepreneurs who create and run our businesses, who play by the rules, are in fact critical to our success as a nation. We need them especially today. Business, not government, will end this recession. Government must help by creating fair rules, sound monetary policy, and by protecting our fellow citizens in periods when they are jobless. We have to make way for the new entrepreneurial firms that will push us to frontiers of innovation.
Financial markets swung wildly yesterday in frenzied trading market by further selling of equities and fears about an unraveling of the global carry trade. At the same time, trading in the European credit markets in London was exceptionally heavy as traders frantically reassessed their appetite for risk, prompting wild swings in the prices of the key derivatives. It was the third day of frenetic activity in the European credit markets, suggesting that equity market swings were prompting a wider repositioning of investors in a host of asset classes.
And one particular crop, almond in the US and now in Australia, is transforming the world of beekeeping and of bees. What has happened is that something serendipitous came along, that people found out, that doctors found out that almonds are good for you, a confection, but it's good for you. The almond board got a very aggressive promotion going on for almonds. They actually, I just heard recently, send out sales reps to cardiologists at hospitals to promote the heart benefits of almonds. In a very good promotion of almonds. And it's legitimate promotion because they are a healthy food.
And now the nation's opioid crisis is putting newborn babies at risk. The use of prescription painkillers like OxyContin by women during pregnancy has resulted in what's being called an explosion of infants as addicted to the drugs as their mothers. Newly published data in JAMA Pediatrics shows the number of cases of neonatal abstinence syndrome (NAS) has risen five-fold in the U.S. from 2000 to 2012, that's nearly 22,000 affected infants in that last year alone, and the reality behind those stats is heart-wrenching. OxyContin has addicted both infants and mothers, causing cases of neonatal abstinence syndrome rising. The babies, they really suffer, just like adults do when they withdraw from narcotics, Dr. Terry Inder, chair of pediatric newborn medicine at Boston's Brigham and Women's Hospital, told CBS News. The babies are very irritable and sometimes have high heart rates, sweating, flushing, diarrhea. They cry a lot.
When joining a new company, there are often perks to consider: a company car, maybe a 401k plan. With millennials now making up the lion's share of the workforce, a number of companies are betting that helping to pay off student debt is the next game changer when it comes to attracting and retaining the best and the brightest. It's not a bad wager. Total education debt stood at a staggering $1.52 trillion at the end of March. And while the perk is by no means reserved only for millennials, it's not lost on anyone that the average student loan borrower will have graduated this year saddled with more than $37,000 in debt. One of the companies touting the new benefit is the same one, Fidelity Investments, that already handles millions of workers' 401k plans. Businesses enrolled in its student debt employer contribution program are able to make after-tax contributions to their employees' outstanding student loans, setting their own parameters as to who and how much with the help of a modeling tool for estimating their potential recruitment and retention cost savings.
During a wheel alignment, the technician adjusts the geometric angles of the steering and suspension in relation to the frame of the vehicle to ensure that all four tires wear properly while maintaining optimum vehicle stability and handling. Proper vehicle alignment is important for correct vehicle handling, tire wear, braking stability in a smooth ride. All vehicles require a wheel alignment from time to time. For example, hitting a pothole or curb can knock the alignment out of whack. Additionally, many vehicle manufacturers recommend having the wheel alignment checked as part of the vehicle's normal maintenance schedule.
College tuition rates have been on an upward climb since the late 1980s, but neither average income nor the amount of financial aid available is able to keep us. As a result, lower and middle-class families are having a tougher time forking out the cash for tuition. The increasing disparity between income levels and the price of higher learning has led to incredible amounts of student debt. Families are encouraging students to look at two-year degrees and community colleges to cut costs. According to the Department of Education, enrollment in two-year colleges has risen over the past decade, while enrollment in four-year institutions has dropped.
Do you wonder if your kids will have your back when you're older? Apparently, the answer is a surprising yes. That's the good news in a conversation many people are having these days, around aging parents, that comes courtesy of the third biennial Fidelity Investments Family Finance Study. Less heartening is that nearly 4 in 10 families seem to be suffering from what can only be described as, hats off to Cool Hand Luke for this, a failure too.
The difference between Roth and traditional IRAs or workplace 401k plans is that Roth money is tax-free in retirement. Even as the account grows over the years, helped in large part by compound interest, the original contributions can be withdrawn at any time, for any reason, with no taxes or penalties.
In June, many families are celebrating dads and grads. Dad certainly deserves a special Father's Day with all he does throughout the year. And graduating students also merit recognition for all they have accomplished. Now, it's up to you to find gifts that celebrate these special occasions. This year, skip the usual suspects and opt for items tailored to their specific style and personality. For instance, tech gifts are perfected to begin your search, so get the scoop from someone who knows. Emmy Award-winning technology and trends reporter Brett Larson offers his take on the top 5 tech gifts for both dads and grads. In June, many families are celebrating dads and grads. Dad certainly deserves a special Father's Day with all he does throughout the year. And graduating students also merit recognition for all they have accomplished. Now, it's up to you to find gifts that celebrate these special occasions. This year, skip the usual suspects and opt for items tailored to their specific style and personality. For instance, tech gifts are perfected to begin your search, so get the scoop from someone who knows. Emmy Award-winning technology and trends reporter Brett Larson offers his take on the top 5 tech gifts for both dads and grads.
Cold brew coffee continues to be a hot trend. Recent market research shows an increase in sales of 580% 2011 and 2016 as coffee drinkers have embraced the smooth flavor of cold brew. Cold brew is coffee made with cold water. It sounds simple, but making cold brew concentrate from ground coffee at home can be a messy and time-consuming process. Most devices on the market require 12 to 24 hours of steep time at room temperature to brew coffee concentrate suitable for cold brew coffee, so serving cold brew coffee has traditionally required advanced planning. But now a specialized coffee press allows cold brew coffee lovers to get their fix in a couple of minutes. Cold brew coffee continues to be a hot trend. Recent market research shows an increase in sales of 580% 2011 and 2016 as coffee drinkers have embraced the smooth flavor of cold brew. Cold brew is coffee made with cold water. It sounds simple, but making cold brew concentrate from ground coffee at home can be a messy and time-consuming process. Most devices on the market require 12 to 24 hours of steep time at room temperature to brew coffee concentrate suitable for cold brew coffee, so serving cold brew coffee has traditionally required advanced planning. But now a specialized coffee press allows cold brew coffee lovers to get their fix in a couple of minutes.
Keep your audience in your mind when writing an essay. Keep your audience in your mind when writing an essay.
Traveling by boat on the river is not possible in winter. Traveling by boat on the river is not possible in winter.
Safety glasses should be worn while doing experiments in the lab. Safety glasses should be worn while doing experiments in the lab.
Students who attempted to go to the conference must register now. Students who attempted to go to the conference must register now.
If you like our video, kindly subscribe our channel and also press below bell icon. Thank you.